And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben. This is my review for Season 3 of Doom Patrol. Thanks for Warner Media for sending us the screeners. We will be changing up our score rating system. We've been doing letters, but that was always a copy of what other people do. We hadn't found something that, well, I hadn't found something that had really resonated with me, with what I wanted to reflect, with what I was feeling. And because I'm such a huge fan of Nicolas Cage up and downs, I'm going to rate it out of 5 Nicolas Cages. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And so you can guess how many Nicolas Cages this season's going to get. Are you excited to see season 3? Who is your favorite character? The Doom Patrol is at a difficult crossroads, and each member struggles to face who they are and who they want to be. And things get a whole lot more complicated when Madame Rouge, played by Michelle Gomez, arrives in a time machine with a very specific mission. If only she could remember it. As a huge fan of season 1, it was so out there, so bizarre. Nothing could have prepared me for what I was expecting to see on those episodes. We had like 15 episodes, and then season 2 dropped and we got 9 episodes. And the first 5 episodes of season 2 felt very drawn out, very long. They spent a lot of time in character development, but it felt like at the expense of the story arc. However, the last 4 episodes was very much story arc and involved very interesting characters, but left us on a massive cliffhanger. So first episode of season 3, as you can imagine, deals with that cliffhanger very quickly. Don't worry, they're not going to draw it out for the whole season. We have our own storyline to deal with, but for the most part, this series has always been about the dysfunctionality of the individuals that call themselves or don't call themselves a team. And we explore that much more here. So where in season 2, we're exploring what it means to be a family and the issues that they had with their own individual families. It's the most dysfunctional superhero team. I mean, it would definitely give Suicide Squad members a run for their money. However, this time it's looking at themselves. They've dealt a lot with the issues with their family, and now they need to deal with themselves to become functional members of this team, or just functional members of the human society, the human race, before they can be able to use their powers. And even now, they still aren't able to really control their powers. They still really haven't come to terms with who they are, and that's reflected with a lot of the episodes of in the characters that they meet in these first 5 episodes. It kind of shines a light at the possibilities of who they could be if they were able to control their powers, the team that they could be if they were strong and had their mind sorted out. And often their physical attributions of what goes wrong physically basically shines a light at what's going on mentally. And we have this juxtaposition going on with our characters from the Doom Patrol pretty much the whole way through. The inclusion of characters from Supernatural, like Crowley, I mean not the actual character, the actor, is fantastic. And also we have a couple of other sneaky characters you'll see probably from Supernatural. And now we obviously have the Doctor Who character, who's going to be the new villain, or we're not sure, because she doesn't have her memory, but we know she has a big part to play, especially with the timey-wimey stuff. I like how self-aware this season is and how much fun they've had. It's always been about the characters, and I would say that the arc is almost secondary to the storyline. It's more been about the adventure of these characters, going to the underground, seeing what makes our characters tick, maybe trying to see them overcome something in themselves, and that always, well, it seems to lead to a cataclysmic event, which could be world ending or just city ending. But that's the same here. The stakes are high again. There is definitely an arc, but it feels like there's a couple of storylines that are sidelined. It's very quickly surpassed my expectations of what I was expecting, because you have an expectation of just bonkersness, and then it's surpassed that. I even feel like there's going to be a side story maybe, or maybe a spin-off from some new characters we've met. At least I would love that. I think it would be a very interesting take on that. One of the shining characters is definitely Brendan Fraser's robot. How he manages to portray human emotions through a tin can, it just using his voice is incredible. Obviously you have some mannerisms that he can do with his robotic movements, but it all comes through voice inflection and tone and shoutiness, and how you deliver those lines. You feel for the character. There are some continued flashback storylines, and as these stories develop more of our characters, it's always focusing more on them. So whatever nonsense happens to them, where our characters find themselves in another situation that you're wondering how they're going to get out of this one, and you definitely have those. Just in the first 2 episodes, you're like, oh my gosh, how are they going to get out of this one? Once they've dealt with the crisis of the cliffhanger from episode 2 and dealing with loss, now they have to deal with another crisis, but it's still messes with their minds, and it's still always dealing with their broken psyches, their broken mentality, their brokenness from their families. It's just broken, it's messy, really leans into self-discovery this time. And Brendan Fraser, he is fantastic in this. I'm so glad he found this role, because for me, he often is the funny, but in a really, really real way that makes me smile and goes, yeah, I understand what he's doing with that character. I really like what he's done with that. That's not to say the other characters aren't phenomenal. We obviously have the Underground, which is a never-ending joy of escapism and adventure, because you can imagine, if you can imagine it, like with the Dorothy character, it's there. Everybody's train has something to do with it. There's always something more. There could be a new character that pitches up, because it's what's needed to protect young Kate is what is imagined, or a new character could be imagined up. And so when you take imaginary characters and you interact them with Dorothy, that's interesting. The imagination does seem to be the word here. The creativity allowed to be explored in this series is not going to meet everybody's, I guess, satisfaction. But if you love Suicide Squad and you love just out there really taking a chance of what you can do with storylines, I think you're going to love this. It is a character study on messed up people, but in the kind of superhero genre, and that very much sticks to that. So I would say that the arc is, once again, the sideline. It's secondary. What's focused on here is, again, the characters and what's happening with them, which I think makes it interesting. When you do start moving that story forward, you're invested because you spend so much time. I loved season 3 so far. So far, it's my favorite season, even over 1. 2, I liked because of how it ended. I didn't appreciate the massive cliffhanger, but I'm loving what they've done with season 3 so far. There are only 10 episodes in this season. I'm hoping it gets greenlit for another, because I think they're really starting to find their stride now. Let me know in the comments below, who is your favorite character? I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 Nicolas Cages.
How to get burned? How to get burned? How to get burned? I don't.
Thanks so much for watching this, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.